your seats. Hello, and welcome to the Class of 2027 White Coat Ceremony for Sam Houston State University College of Osteopathic Medicine. May I ask you to take a moment now to silence your cell phones, please. You may certainly use them for photos and video if you like. I'm Dr. Thomas Moore, and I'm proud to serve as the Dean of our college. It's my pleasure and honor to guide you through the White Coat Ceremony for the SHSU Com Class of 2027. The White Coat Ceremony is a tradition adopted by medical schools, and it reflects a symbolic entrance to the educational path our student doctors have chosen. The ceremony is a rite of passage in which the student doctors will don the white coat as a symbol of professionalism and humanism, and they will recite the osteopathic oath in front of peers, faculty, family, and friends, acknowledging their willingness to assume the obligations and responsibilities of their chosen profession. Today is a day to celebrate with our student doctors. We are honored today to have Dr. Reagan Anderson, DO, as our ceremonial speaker, and the following members of our administration: Dr. Michael Stevenson, Provost and Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs; Dr. Courtney West, Senior Associate Dean for Educational Affairs; Dr. Dennis Rao, Associate Dean for Osteopathic Integration; Dr. Kevin Lord, Associate Dean for Research, Innovation, and Collaboration; Dr. Craig Boudreau, Assistant Dean for Clinical Affairs; and Mrs. Marcia Sellner, Assistant Dean for Graduate Medical Education. Students, your journey started long ago, while you were in high school and as an undergraduate, probably long before that. Your tenacity, hard work, and intelligence brought you to this point. You've made the decision to join a university that for 140 years has focused on the workforce needs in the state of Texas. SHSU has always been about meeting community needs and making connections. This university has over 130,000 alumni living all over Texas and the world, and in just a few short years, you will join those ranks. Besides filling a workforce need, the College of Osteopathic Medicine aligns itself with our university's culture and mission. Sam Houston State University is a Carnegie-classified, community-engaged university, a designation that less than 10% of universities attain. Additionally, the motto of SHSU is, "The measure of a life is its service." These words, the community engagement and service to others, are key components of the mission of the College of Osteopathic Medicine and should guide you as you progress through your education and into your practice as a physician. I would be remiss if I did not also address the parents, families, and loved ones who are here today, and some of who are listening in virtually through our streaming service. Without your support and encouragement, this day would not have been possible. We all thank you for your interest and participation in the career your student doctor has chosen. Congratulations to you, the Class of 2027. I know you will continue on a successful trajectory, and I look forward to seeing what you accomplish. It's my pleasure now to introduce Dr. Craig Boudreau, DO, who will share the history of the White Coat Ceremony and the significance of the white coats for student doctors. Dr. Boudreau.
Thank you, Dr. Moore. For many of us, this is our first opportunity to preside over the White Coat Ceremony, so on their behalf, it's an honor to be here for you guys. The White Coat and the ceremony of the White Coat is symbolic of a transition in a career as an osteopathic physician. The White Coat by itself is something that provides an identity as a student of medicine and a member of a very special group, a community of physicians dedicated to acquiring and advancing the knowledge of medicine and the compassionate care for patients. The ceremony identifies these students as part of a profession unlike any other, a career that demands lifelong learning, dedication to patient care, and service for the community. You will be surprised at the level of respect that the White Coat gives you with your patients. The Arnold Gold Foundation established the white coat ceremony in 1993 as a way of identifying that transition into medicine that gives students the sense of being part of something larger than themselves. Your white coat is a reminder of your part in the College of Osteopathic Medicine. And as you wear your coat today, remember you are part of a long line of students, residents, physicians who have been there before you, but you are the only ones, the select few, that wear the coat with Sam Houston State University College of Osteopathic Medicine logo embroidered on it.
Thank you, Dr. Boudreau. Our student doctors will now be introduced and presented with their white coats. Our physician faculty who will be coding will be called up as well. As your name is called, please proceed to the platform. I'll now introduce Dr. Tess Johnson, who will read the names.
Good morning. The first 6 coders are Dr. Diego Alvarez, Dr. Rebecca Andrews Dickert, Dr. Jim Barker, Dr. Craig Boudreau, Dr. Juanita Brown, and Dr. Jaime Hinojosa. Thank you. The first 6 students to be coded are Michael Abraham, Raven Agulto, Mina Hill Ukbar, Rami Alakil, Jessica Arriaga Pena, Nancy Bashir. All right, thank you. The next 6 students are Grant Barber, Joseph Bartling, Brittany Bass, Andrew Bates, Michaela Basinger, Natalie Bergonio. All right, thank you. The next 6 students are Sabrina Berea, Courtney Blanchard, Harrison Bleffel, Benjamin Bosch, Ariel Brooks, Danielle Burgett. All right, thank you. The next 6 students are Megan Caffey, Caroline Cajas, Ryder Calhoun, Brooke Campbell, Naveed Chowdhury, Cameron Collins. All right, thank you. The next 6 students are Esai Corral, Samuel Covington, Daria Dave, Teophile Disdain, Andrea Doan, Shannon Dumadog. Thank you. The next 6 students are Elizabeth Duncan, Blake DuPont, Olivia Eberwine, Clara Francis, Ryan Ginaldi, Yasmin Gerbia. Thank you. The next 6 students are Olivia Green, Amethyst Harmonica, Istad Hawk, Preet Hassan, Robert Hayes, Annabelle Hemphill. Thank you. The next 6 students are Kendall Hartenberger, Matthew Hilton, Sean Hu, Kason Hucks, Isabella Hudson, Joseph Hudson. Thank you. The next 6 students are Hannah Humphreys, Chaden Amaneni, Osato Ayurere, Anuja Chodron, Vishal Karthakarian, Michelle Ka. Thank you. The next 6 students are Dania Khan, Zakir Khan, Alex Coe, Tyler Kuchera, Shelby Caventa, Jordan Lane. Thank you. The next 6 students are Samson Lau, Jennifer Lee, Orlando Lopez, Sarah Maybe, Mohammed Mahdi, Aruzo Magnosia. The next 6 students are Uzma Magnosia, Sharik Malik, Pavani Mamnam, Gabriel Marcelli, Wyatt Mayer, Jared McCormick. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, coders. The next 6 coders are Dr. Shiny Koshi, Dr. Townsley, Dr. George Prada, Dr. Dennis Rao, Dr. Brent Sanderlin, Dr. Megan Wolford. All right, our first 6 students are Tiago McDown, Melissa McNeil, Renee Megwa, Louise Nicolette Mendoza, Megan Mendoza, Saeed Menassi. Thank you. Our next 6 students are Sonia Mishra, Arian Muhammad Yar, Ariana Montez, Ella Moody, Madhav Makandan, Zacharias Mulat. Thank you. Our next 6 students are Nabi Naeem, Akila Nair, Jennifer Neal, Carolyn Neal, Christina Wynn, Matthew Wynn. Thank you. Our next 6 students are Courtney Nodzo, Muhammad Nunu, Yasmin Obedi, Obiama Okafor, Jesus Osornio, Jason Park. Thank you. Our next 6 students are Emily Parker, Noah Parmalee, Nishant Punjala, Sharik Kwamar, Shayan Kamar, Mark Raphael. Thank you. The next 6 students are Ty Rast, Parisa Razuk, Greta Solis, Gandhimati Saravanan, Lee Souter, Cameron Shackert. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Our next 6 students are Harley Schneider, Leanne Chabanay, Aftab Sheikh, Tara Sheets, Carlin Shelley, Amy Sabille. Thank you. The next 6 students are Bilal Siddiqui, Amrita Shivshakan Ran Nair, Alexandria Smith, Justin Smith, Siddharth Srikumar, Emma Stacy. Thank you. The next 6 students are Julia Stephen, Ryan Sue, Sarib Sultan, Yashna Thacker, Neha Tipana, Kara Thomas. Thank you. The next 6 students are Harish Thope, Mahanad Takmache, Sabine Turanian, Anisha Vade, Logan Vargas, Nidhi Vitharay. Thank you. Our next 6 students are Bhumika Venkatesh, Monica Webb, Tyler Wood, Braden Wright, Alexis Wyrick, Eric Shu. Thank you. Thank you, coders. You may be seated. The following students will be coded by their family physician, or their family who are physicians. Miriam Afzal, coded by Dr. Syed Afzal. Am I wrong? I'm sorry. I'm wrong. All right. Sandy Usuf, coded by Dr. Diana Greer. James Bass, coded by Dr. James Bass III. Anrita Burley, coded by Dr. Pratibha Burley. Robert Cashin, coded by Dr. William Cashin II. Bellini Ha, coded by Dr. Keen Ha. Thank you. The next set of students and coders are Elizabeth Harrison, coded by Dr. Charles Jackson. Zoha Hassan, coded by Dr. Syed Hassan. Thomas Su, coded by Dr. Charles Su. Sina Karthikeyan, coded by Dr. Lakshmi Karthik. Radina Khalid, coded by Dr. Shiraz Aziz. Cameron Lim, coded by Dr. Jeremy Chu. Thank you. The next set of students and physicians are Mohammed Mahad, coded by Dr. Manur Javed. Carmina Martinez Ruiz, coded by Dr. Ana Ruiz. Kaisa Palong, coded by Dr. Ronald Palong. Alejandro Perez, coded by Dr. Carla Perez. Caroline Podvin, coded by Dr. John Westfall. Meredith Poling, coded by Dr. Matthew Poling. Thank you. All right, the next set of students and coders are Osama Salim, coded by Dr. Salim Gopalani. Jennifer Sakili, coded by Dr. Salim Sakili. Ilsa Siddiqui, coded by Dr. Samina Ibad. Ashley Snuggs, coded by Dr. Michelle Snuggs. Haley Stedman, coded by Dr. Jonathan Stedman. Nicholas Trong, coded by Dr. Gia Trong. Thank you. This concludes the coding portion of the program.
On that note, while we're waiting for everybody to take their seats, how about a huge round of applause for all of our new student doctors?
Congratulations, class of 2027. I would like to invite all our student doctors and all osteopathic physicians present to please rise and join me in reciting the osteopathic oath, which is printed on the back of your program. I do hereby affirm my loyalty to the profession I am about to enter. I will be mindful always of my great responsibility to preserve the health and the life of my patients, to retain their confidence and respect, both as a physician and a friend who will guard their secrets with scrupulous honor and fidelity, to perform faithfully my professional duties, to employ only those recognized methods of treatment consistent with good judgment and with my skill and ability, keeping in mind always nature's laws and the body's inherent capacity for recovery. I will be ever vigilant in aiding in the general welfare of the community, sustaining its laws and institutions, not engaging in those practices which will in any way bring shame or discredit upon myself or my profession. I will give no drugs for deadly purposes to any person, though it may be asked of me. I will endeavor to work in accord with my colleagues in a spirit of progressive cooperation, and never by word or by act cast imputations upon them or their rightful practices. I will look with respect and esteem upon all those who have taught me my art. To my college, I will be loyal and strive always for its best interests and for the interests of the students who will come after me. I will ever be alert to further the application of basic biologic truths to the healing arts and to develop the principles of osteopathy, which were first enunciated by Andrew Taylor Still. Please be seated.
Thank you, Dr. Rao. It's now my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker. Dr. Reagan Anderson, DO, is a doctor of osteopathic medicine who specializes in general dermatology and in Mohs micrographic surgery for the treatment of skin cancer. Upon graduation from Andrew Taylor Still University, Kirksville College of Osteopathic Medicine, Dr. Anderson was commissioned in the United States Navy, where he spent the majority of his time serving the United States Marine Corps as the 1st Reconnaissance Battalion Surgeon. In this role, he deployed twice to Fallujah, Iraq. After struggling with post-traumatic stress disorder from 2 combat deployments, Dr. Anderson left the military to pursue dermatology. After dermatology residency, Dr. Anderson opened his own dermatology practice in 2010, and I was privileged to work with him to create a new dermatology residency program in Colorado Springs. He's been the president of the American Osteopathic College of Dermatology, the author of a book called Universal Death Care, a solution for healthcare in the age of entitlements. He's a national media spokesperson on healthcare topics and has a master's of public health and a master's of Christian studies. Dr. Anderson has developed a business of medicine curriculum that is utilized by colleges of osteopathic medicine across the country and is available as a 4th-year elective here at SHSU. We're proud to have Dr. Anderson as one of our clinical assistant professors. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Anderson, DO.
Congratulations to the class of 2027. Congratulations to those who just donned their white coats, and congratulations to the village of people who have made and will make it possible for you to become doctors. Congratulations to our ancestors who made it possible for you to be here today. Congratulations to the class of 2027. Today, I will tell you a few stories designed to hopefully prepare you for this great career. Like you, I'm an overachiever. After 1 year of internship, I decided to do the most extreme thing a doctor could do in the US military. The goal was to become the doctor to Marine Recon, which was sort of the Marine Corps' version of Special Forces, and then to deploy to war in Iraq as their battalion surgeon. To accomplish this, I had to first become a dive medical officer, which meant that after internship, I would go to 6 months of specialized schooling to prepare my mind, body, and spirit for the unique needs of this special group of Marines. Just like with getting into medical school and then becoming a doctor, the sights were set, and everything in life was once again laser focused on achieving a goal. I trained day and night for months on end prior to going to dive medical officer school. My whole life, I had gone from one solitary purpose to another, and this challenge would be no different. There's no socializing, no fun hobbies, nothing else allowed into my life except preparing for dive school and war. At dive school, I was determined to be the honor man, or the valedictorian of the class, so that I could have my choice of assignments, as the sights were set on going to war with Marine Recon. That meant outscoring any of the other doctors in the class, no matter if the measure was academic, physical, or mental. And I remember pool week, which is where you endure numerous drills to test your mettle and see if you will crack under pressure. Throughout the week, there were a number of hits, which were where you swim at the bottom of a 20-foot deep pool with scuba equipment. Your job was just to remain at the bottom of the pool and wait for an instructor to hit you. During the hit, they would rip the regulator out of your mouth, hit you, kick you, spin you, smash the oxygen tanks over your head, basically anything they wanted to for 30 seconds. And like I alluded to earlier, the funnest week of my life. And your job was to sit there and take it while holding your breath, holding on to the dive vest which contained your oxygen tanks, and holding on to the urge to either fight back or ascend to air. Now, if you freaked out or lost control of your primary equipment, you failed and were kicked out of dive school. Now, the hits started out easy or light hits and progressed to heavy hits by the end of the week. During the last of the heavy hits, before graduating from pool week, I decided to have a little fun with the instructors. So after 30 seconds of them ripping regulator and mask off, hitting me, kneeing me, smashing the oxygen tanks over my head, spinning me, you get the picture. Doing their best to get me to crack, we both heard the instructor's wristwatch beep, signaling that the hit was over, and now all I had to do was put my equipment back together and take a breath. That was all that was needed to pass this evolution and graduate pool week. Instead, I decided to sit cross-legged at the bottom of the pool, mouthing off to the instructor, giving him the bird, and smiling from ear to ear because he and I both knew that he gave it his best, and I was going to pass. But after about 30 seconds of this juvenile taunting, I shrugged my shoulders and tried to put the equipment back into working condition. But I could not. I tried everything to untie the hose connecting the regulator to the tank, and nothing worked. Finally, after about 1 minute of monkeying with the equipment, I looked up at the instructor, who 1 minute earlier I was taunting and insulting his unsuccessful efforts to break me. I expected to see him smiling back while giving me the bird. Instead, he moved forward and tried to help me undo his masterful creation. He tried and tried, but even he, the man with the keys to this whole evolution, could not undo his own trap. Finally, after about 30 seconds, he noticed that I was about to pass out, but I was not panicked. I was so focused on the goal in front of me that I did not care about anything but passing this evolution. My vision and coordination started to falter, but the only thing that mattered was to pass. Oxygen or not, I was not only going to pass, I was going to be the valedictorian of this class. The instructor and I continued to work on the knot. At this point, I was without oxygen for well over 3 minutes, and it was only a matter of seconds until I passed out and failed. If only my pride had not required that I taunt the instructor for those 30 seconds. Those 30 seconds were priceless at this point, and I knew that my pride was about to get me kicked out of dive school. And then the unexpected happened. The instructor gave me his spare regulator to breathe out of. And I thought it was a trap designed to mess with me like I'd been messing with him. I expected the regulator to not be connected to oxygen, to not be a lifeline, but instead be filled with something nasty like week-old tuna or engine grease or whatever the instructor could think of as a parting gift to those who were about to be ceremoniously escorted out of the school. So cautiously, I tasted the regulator, and it was normal. And cautiously, I took some oxygen into my mouth. Normal. Then as quickly as I could, while trying to remain cool, calm, and collected, I took a massive breath in, breathed out. Another massive breath in, breathed out. My vision and coordination returned to normal. And then I realized something. The instructor was not trying to kick me out of class. He was trying to get me to viscerally understand what I could handle on my own, what the limits of my physiology were, that I was capable of failing, and that sometimes you need to lean on someone who has a resource you do not. Turns out the instructors love it when students taunt them because it means that we are all just as crazy as they are, and there's nothing better than being in a pool full of crazy, all aligned toward a common mission, a common fight against the enemy, both foreign and domestic. The instructors knew that I wanted recon, and the only way that they were going to let me pass and go to war with that battalion of Marines was if they were sure I could handle the pressure, not crack despite the circumstance, and accept help when appropriate. And here's perhaps the first thing I would humbly ask you to remember, as it will serve you well over the next couple of years. Your instructors, your deans, your teachers are here to push you in mind, body, and spirit. Because medicine is hard, and you have to understand your limits, to not crack despite the circumstance, and to accept help when appropriate. In a very real sense, the stakes at war and the stakes in medicine are similar. People will live or die by your decisions, and you must be hardened in order to perform under pressure. Your instructors, teachers, and dean's job is to get you to a point where you start to realize that being a doctor is so much more than passing some tests. I hope you heard that. It is so much more than passing tests. Yes, your hardships might not be due to drowning in a pool, but they will be from drowning in the realities of medicine that are at times cruel and unusual. And then their job is to give you as much as they can, as much as you will allow it, the spare regulator, so that you can begin to breathe and function again. It is up to you, though, to take their help, their reason, their wisdom, and apply it. If you freak out, panic, or try to escape via addiction, your career will not end well. But if you take the help from an outstretched hand and press forward, the miracles you will be part of will be truly spectacular. Perhaps yet another thing to learn from the story is that you and I likely share the tendency to push forward to achieve a goal despite everything else telling us that it is just too much. We can look so hard at a problem that we are literally about to drown, and yet we will still keep going. Again, it might not be in a pool about to drown, but perhaps other things in life that are as vitally important will be ignored in pursuit of the goal in front of you. And part of this is good, and part of this, if left unchecked, will lead you down a path where you become a doctor at the expense of becoming a good parent or a good friend or a you fill in the blank for what is important to you. And this is no way to live. And I would encourage each of you to keep this story in the back of your mind so that when you are drowning in pursuit of a goal that perhaps you make yourself take a breath, take a break, and refocus your life in the directions that truly matter. I was willing to drown to achieve a goal, and that is taking the ridiculous type A personality a lot too far. Now, still underwater, the instructor and I worked on that knot for another couple of minutes, but neither one of us could untie it. We together admitted failure, together ascended to the top of the pool, together gave each other a nod of accomplishment, of acknowledgement, and together threw the destroyed equipment in the trash. You see, sometimes the outcome, especially in medicine, but sometimes the outcome will not be what you expected despite all best efforts. And that is okay as long as you gave it your all, allowed help from others, and can learn to pick yourself back up the next day so that you can help others. I graduated as the honor man of that dive medical officer class, took the position as the 1st Reconnaissance Battalion surgeon, and deployed to Fallujah, Iraq. I could not attend the graduation ceremony as Recon Battalion was already in Iraq without a doctor, and they needed me there ASAP. I gladly left without a certificate, without ceremony, without any of the well-earned pomp and circumstance. To make matters worse, I did not even spend 5 minutes to recognize that a goal had been reached. There was no celebration, no reflection on what it took, not even a graduation ceremony. The only thing I was now focused on was to go to Iraq and save everyone who was under my medical privilege. You see, the journey was not important to me. It was the goal that mattered. But in the end, the goal did not matter either. The only thing that mattered was the next goal, next challenge, next notch on the proverbial vocational belt. And this is not a healthy way to live. Yes, it is the journey that counts. Absolutely and 100% agree. But the accomplishment is also to be celebrated. And I blindly ignore them both. Your time in medical school, residency, and beyond is going to be tough. But they will also be some of the best years of your life if you stop every once in a while and smell the roses. Remind yourself of your why, which drives you, and celebrate the big and little things along the way. Now, I was off to the most deadly place in Iraq, tasked with bringing back all the members of that battalion to their families, whole in mind, body, and spirit, while at the same time trying to juggle the demands of being a good officer first, a good doctor second, and a good human third. And you can hear by my stumbling there that it's still hard for me to say a good officer first, a good doctor second, and a good human third. But it was very true. Regardless, I felt prepared for the task. I was the honor man after all. Had crushed every medical challenge presented up to this point, was 175 pounds and 5% body fat, and was convinced that whatever life threw at me, I could handle. I was a tank and ready for whatever menial challenges that were to present themselves during a combat deployment to the worst part of Iraq with a group of battle-hardened recon Marines. And I could not have been more delusional. Within 1 week in Iraq, and experiencing the mass casualty horrors of war, and operating to save lives in what can only be described as primitive conditions, I had lost 10 pounds of weight, was not able to sleep, was beginning the journey towards becoming suicidal, had lost my faith in God, and was not sure I wanted to be a doctor anymore. And after weeks and weeks of this, I snapped during a mass casualty. While it is very true that a military doctor is an officer first and a doctor second, It is equally true that if the bullets are not actively flying, a doctor's job is to heal whoever needs help, regardless of race, religion, nationality, or circumstance. In war, mass casualties abound, which means, by definition, that there are not enough resources to treat every patient at the level of care they need or deserve. The basic tenet is that whoever is injured most but capable of saving is treated first, the next most injured second, and so on. And while it is necessarily more complicated than this, the principle is sound. I had developed a reputation at being good at mass casualties, actually really good at them. And that meant that I was often given the most injured. Unfortunately, this day the most injured was the enemy, who had shot some U.S. Marines. More unfortunately, at this point of the deployment, there was little left of my humanity to give. And I was tasked with resuscitating an insurgent, the enemy, who was involved in a firefight with some Marines from a different battalion. He was severely wounded, and the Marine who he shot was less than 10 feet away, dying from his wounds. The Iraqi, the enemy who shot one of our own, was shot multiple times, and it was only a matter of minutes before he would die. I half-heartedly worked on him for a few minutes, not wanting him to live, not really wanting to be working on him. Instead, I wanted to be working on the Marine slowly dying just feet away. The wounded Marine was under the excellent care of my colleagues, but I wanted to be part of his team, not working on the enemy who shot him. That Marine wore my clothes, spoke my language, shared a common culture, and was willing to die for our great country. He was my family, my people, my tribe, and he deserved my help. And so I called the code on the enemy who shot the wounded Marine, walked away from him, and went to report on his impending death. Now, anytime you call a code, you must report the patient's status and condition to another doctor, just in case you forgot something. So I told another doctor the enemy's condition and told him that he would die soon and that I was going to go work on the wounded Marine. The other doctor heard me say that the Iraqi was shot multiple times, bleeding out, hypotensive, hypovolemic, barely conscious, barely able to maintain his own airway, and hypothermic, meaning that his core temperature was too low to sustain life. He was too cold for his own body to function. I rattled off the enemy's condition with all the emotion and concern of placing an order at Taco Bell. And the other doctor paused, looked sideways, and said what every first-year medical student knows, which is not dead until warm and dead. I looked at him indignantly and told him in not too friendly of terms that the enemy was quickly decompensating. We did not have the resources, and that the Marine deserved my help instead. He looked at me and said, "Not dead until warm and dead." And we locked eyes while I contemplated any number of very, very stupid reactions. But he was right, and I knew it. At that point, I realized that if I wanted to get to the Marine, I needed to save the enemy's life first. So I went back to the gurney and actually started to care about my patient. Started to really work on him. Started to be a doctor and a decent human. Within just a couple of minutes, he was not in extremis, not dying, warm, and ready for surgery. All it took was to care for another human being, regardless of circumstance. All it took was for me to be a doctor. It is the most shameful moment of my life. And I'm so grateful to that doctor who did not let me give up on that man. Make no mistake about it, though, I failed by not upholding the oath I took, and without the help of a colleague, I would have been responsible for that man's death. Now, failing is the best medicine. It is important for all of us to fail, but perhaps more important for those in society who are idolized. The white coat you just put on starts that process of idolization. Guys, failure is so important for you to embrace. It will make a human out of you while you're being a doctor. Because failure is the inoculation against making the very unfortunate mistake of defining yourself based on accomplishments or test scores, titles, or bank accounts. Without a healthy and well-titrated dose of failure, the prognosis of doctors is bleak. Failure allows us to see our humanity and allows us to be our best selves. And make no mistake about it, you all will fail. Sometimes small and sometimes big, but all of you will fail. Hopefully, you will have someone next to you to hand you a regulator or to remind you of who you are supposed to be. Hopefully, you will not be prideful and will accept the help being given. I finished that combat deployment to Iraq, came home for 6 months, and then went back to war with the same battalion to the same location to fight the same enemies, both foreign and domestic. But I never forgot that mass casualty scenario. To this day, I know that I have a breaking point, and I promise you that you have one as well. We are human, and that is more than okay. After 2 combat tours, I returned home, got out of the military, and then went to specialize as a dermatologist and Mohs surgeon. While there are other stories of failure from the time in the military and after, there are also some huge wins. One of which is that every single patient who came to me alive in Iraq survived. Every single one of them, by the grace of God. Had I let this horrible story define me in a negative way, had I let it stifle who I could be, had I quit after that horrible, horrible mass casualty, then I would have truly failed, as I would have been useless to countless others who needed my help. Instead, I carry the lessons of that failure so that even more people can be helped. Perhaps, maybe even some of you. The last thing I have to say is that you must be willing to receive help. You must be willing to lay down your pride and admit that you are human. You must be willing to fail, to lean on others, and most importantly, to pick yourself up the next day because other people need you. Basically, you must be strong enough to say that who you will help is more important than how you failed. You must recognize that being a doctor is not about you. It is about your patients. When you make it about you, all manner of tragedy will transpire, and you will selfishly and ineffectually wallow in the addictive self-pity that comes from ruminating about your failure. However, when you make failure instructive to help your next patient, not only will you find your way again, but you will also help countless others on their journey. You will be a doctor. The failure of that day instructed me on what to never do again, and I have not. The failure of that day turned me into a doctor instead of a boy who thought he was invincible. The failure of that day let me know that I was not alone in medicine or in life, because none of us are. I'm going to ask you to do something. This actually requires audience participation, even up in the stands. Please look to your left. Yep, Yep, most of you got it right. Good, good, good. And please look to your right. And commit to being humble to receive help from these great people. And commit to helping them when they need it. For if you do, if you are present for yourself and for others, you will discover the mind, body, spirit of this great medical machine. You will be privileged to share magical moments in your patients' lives. And you will find that not only is the journey important, but so also is the goal. To the class of 2027, I am honored to be standing among the future of medicine. Please remember in your dark hour, be cool, calm, and collected. Do what is right. Do the best you can. Show others you care. Learn from your mistakes. Accept the regulator when you are drowning. Hear the wisdom of a colleague when you are at your worst. Pick yourself up after the worst of days because you owe it to yourself and to your patients. Stop every once in a while to smell the roses, celebrate the wins, honor the losses, and you will do just fine. No matter how bad it seems, if you allow it, a day later you will be better than you were yesterday because very simply, life happens for you, not to you. Life happens for you, not to you. Thank you, class of 2027.
Thank you, Dr. Anderson, for sharing your wisdom and experiences with us. You've inspired us, and it's my hope that each of you finds a way to apply your encouragement to our lives. Again, thank you. All right, let's get back to the celebration, right? Dr. Damon Schranz was not able to be here today. He is the president of the Texas Osteopathic Medical Association, and while he wasn't able to be here, he wanted to extend his gratitude and his welcome to the osteopathic profession, both here in Texas and across the United States as future members of the American Osteopathic Association. It's now my pleasure to introduce my boss, Dr. Michael Stevenson, PhD, Provost and Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs for Sam Houston State University, to offer some final remarks.
Let me first, I'm pausing just a moment because I want to appropriately honor Dr. Anderson for what he brought and the message that he brought, as well as his service to our country today. So could we please give him one more round of applause? You have your coats. I'm following a distinguished military veteran. The expectations for my closing message could not be lower. So this will go quickly. As your provost and as your chief academic officer, I am more than humbled to be here to witness this momentous day with you. I'm proud of each of you. I'm proud of this institution for its commitment to the service mission through educating and training osteopathic physicians. As my kids remind me often, I'm not a real doctor. But that's okay. My PhD is in communication. I studied health communication and know just enough about patient-provider interaction to be dangerous. From a personal perspective, and that's what I want to represent today, your provost, your chief academic officer, but mostly as a patient, I want to talk to you from that perspective. I want to let you know that I intentionally chose an osteopathic physician for my primary care physician back in 1999 and have been with one ever since. I wish for you and your patients much of what I had with my physician. I wish for you and your patients a physician who knew me physically, emotionally, and spiritually. A physician who has celebrated life events with me, great ones, the birth of my children, the adoption of my daughter, and the sad ones, the death of my parents, the loss of a previous marriage, and when we uncovered the abuse of my adopted daughter from her days as an orphanage. As he was there with me, we looked together on this momentous day at a CT scan where he said, "That does not look good." And he prayed with me as I learned I had stage 4 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. He celebrated with me that 5-year victory. And because he knows my anxiety levels, he gave me his cell phone during COVID. Just want to say that as well. Not everybody gets this kind of relationship with a primary care physician. I knew him 20 years, but what I can tell you from that relationship is this, again, as a patient for 20 years, whether you know a patient for 20 years or whether you know a patient more likely for 20 minutes, the one constant that you as a physician provide to the patient is hope. You provide the patient hope. Every patient who sees you needs something, your knowledge, your experience, a referral, or medication. But most of all, when you look into the eyes of the individual across from you, my desire is that you understand that your hope is constant. Your white coat represents that hope to those of us on the other side. My charge to you is this: be curious, be experts in your chosen area of medical care, be good partners, be good friends, be good parents, but most importantly, be good physicians, the ones that offer hope to the patients on the other side that you see for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, or that you know them for 20 years. May God bless your journey as you move through this next phase of your life. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Stevenson. And for those of you who are new to Sam Houston State University, we could not ask for a better university administration through our provost and our president and our regents and our chancellor. You may not see them on a regular basis, but the amount of support that you have here and our College of Osteopathic Medicine has here rivals nothing that I've ever seen before. And our hope is that with that support for the institution, we can continue to provide you the support that you need. Medical school is hard, and the next couple of years are going to be difficult, but we're going to be there to help you. We're going to be that regulator. We're going to help you to become the person, to become the doctor that you need to be the hope that Dr. Stevenson talked about, and we're so pleased to be able to do that. We see the light, we see the success in all of your eyes. And that's why we do this in academic medicine, to be able to be with you through this journey, to be able to walk with you through the difficult parts and the non-difficult parts, and to celebrate you with you on days like today. So it's my pleasure to recognize you, our student doctors, for completing this rite of passage, symbolized by the white coat ceremony. From this day forward, you have committed yourselves to the ethical principles that will guide you through your academic and professional life. Class of 2027, we're delighted to welcome you as the newest members of the SHSU family and the community of osteopathic medicine. Esteemed guests, again, I present you the SHSU Class of 2027. Student doctors, joining you today, either in person or remotely, are your families, friends, spouses, and significant others. They've supported you to make this day possible, and they will continue to support you on this journey of becoming osteopathic physicians. So, student doctors, may I ask you to stand, turn towards the audience, and express your appreciation to these wonderful people for their love and support. I would also like to thank the faculty and the COM employees who gave of their time and talents to make this day a success. Far more than are sitting up here at the podium. We have other members of our staff around, and this day could not have been possible. And again, they make everything that we do as your faculty as supportive as we can possibly be. So thank you to all of our faculty and staff that are here. Now, this day is a celebration, and it's great to be able to get here to mark the beginning of this journey. But when times get tough, and when you're thinking, oh man, what did I get myself into? Think about the fact that in just under 4 years from now, you're going to be sitting in this room wearing very different clothing. And instead of getting a white coat, we're going to put a hood on your head, and we're going to call you doctor, and that is going to be a great day. Finally, I'd like to again thank our white coat speaker, Dr. Anderson. Now, you may not know this yet, but I mentioned that he is the author of a book. He has generously gifted a copy of that book to every one of you. And as soon as we're concluding here, he'll be sitting over at the table over here, and he's happy to shake your hand, sign a book. Please stop by and say hello to him. Take a look at his book. I've read it. I think it's absolutely outstanding. So again, thank you, Dr. Anderson. All right, student doctors of the class of 2027, this ceremony is concluded. We wish all of you a wonderful day. And
Student doctors, we have a small gift for you. Find an ambassador to get your small token. And if you did not get your picture today, please head to the photographer. Thank you.